Mayor Moore,
Present.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Present.
Commissioner David,
Present.
Commissioner Peters,
Present.
Commissioner Goldberg,
Present.
Town Attorney Rubin,
Present.
Town Manager Labadie is here. We have a meeting and a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. Can we all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda? If there are no changes, may we have a motion?
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to presentations and proclamations. Item A, resolution number 2024-013, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, ratifying the selection, appointments, and term of office of members of the Financial Advisory Board and providing for an effective date. And I'd like to call to the podium Maggie Chapelier as she is volunteering for this position. Could state your name and where you live.
My name is Maggie. Legal name Margarita, like the drink. Chapelier.
And where you live, and if you could tell us a few things about
Okay.
yourself.
All right, I'm ready for this. My husband and I moved to Highland Beach in 1986 while we were building some projects up here. We drove up from Miami and I said, this is it. This is where I'm living. I raised my family here and I've served on boards, the Natural Resources Board. I also ran for commissioner and that was such a great education for me. I think that we have the best commission since I've lived here we've ever had. Best town manager, best fire chief, and chief department. So I'm familiar with everyone here and I just love it here. So John and I, we've been involved in different things in Highland Beach, including the Marine Patrol boat, trying to get that boater safety. I worked on the Manatee project with your last mayor Hillman. I also worked on dune restoration. I put on a seminar or two. I have a PowerPoint on the town's website on how homeowners can do their own dune restoration because we're not allowed because it's private beaches. I've worked on the Milani Park project and I presented to the Palm Beach Commission my idea for a pocket park that would have a less parking and concrete parking lot impact on what's going to happen at Milani Park. And they were receptive to my idea of 20 to 30 spaces. So I'm hoping that I can help the town since we are getting the park. I'm going to try to work on that on our behalf. Also, for this, I've been a Natural Resources Board member and co-chair. My goal now is to be on your Financial Advisory Board. I have a strong accounting background. I worked on my MBA. I have a lot of accounting classes. I started off in Miami after I graduated from Florida State as a property manager, and then eventually became the controller for the company. That's where I studied my MBA. Then when we ran our own business, recently we're running our own business and I am the comptroller. I'm also the one that assesses new deals. I analyze deals for our business. I am presently the condo association president of my association. I was the overseer of when we build a new condo project, I'm the overseer of turning it over to the association, serving as almost like their first president. I have property management experience, and I also have formal training in research and analysis when I studied my doctorate in curriculum and instruction. I also have computer skills that are very important for this job that include Excel. I do AutoCAD and PowerPoint. I'm My communication skills are second to none. Whenever I was asked to do a project for Mayor Hillman, I would come through with a PowerPoint, which he presented to people here. So as I said before, I'm a co-partner with my husband, John. The name of our company is Eastland Realty Partners LLC. We have a website called Eastland Properties, if you want to look us up, .com. I'm currently consulting for a $400 million project, luxury project on the beach in Palm Beach County. And what we do is whatever needs to be done. I do pro formas. I write my own Excel income and expense pro formas. And I also am the author of our own pro formas to analyze deals. I also do market analysis, and all these skills are transferable for whatever the town needs to meet their financial goals. I sat down with David, your financial director, and he said, I can say this. I have a micro and macro understanding of the budget. And to me, that's the qualification that's needed for this job.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I guess we'll go through each of the commissioners. Commissioner Goldberg, if you have any question, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to applaud you for, and thank you for coming forward to apply for the advisory board. The background was very important, working on understanding the budget, and the strong financial background that you have. Your education, is it a business degree? So they
I have an
education?
undergraduate business degree from Florida State. I have MBA studies in accounting. One of the courses I took was quantitative, it's called QMB, Quantitative Methods of Business Analysis, and so on. I have a master's and specialist degree in curriculum and instruction. And I also was a doctoral candidate at FAU. I got down to doing my thesis, and unfortunately, we moved to Washington, DC for a brief period of time. And at that point, I decided, oh, I think I'll study interior design at the local school. And I got my degree in interior design. So I have an understanding of architecture, CAD, and value engineering and all that good stuff for commercial jobs. I specialize in commercial jobs.
Well, you certainly also have the experience here in the town, familiarity with the board, what we look at, what we analyze.
Yep.
And I support your candidacy for this position.
Thank you, Judith. And that's a real good compliment. I appreciate that.
Maggie, I wish I had your energy. I've seen your work in the Natural Resource Board, and I probably agree with our financial that you have the micro and macro management thing there. And I see Ron complimented it and said you'd be a good asset. And I think you'll be a great access on the board. Thank you.
I want to work hard for the town. I do.
Like all of us, right? Thank you.
I don't have any questions for Maggie. I'm familiar with Maggie and her background speaks for itself. So
Thank you.
Thank you for volunteering. You're extremely well qualified and be a great addition to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. I will bring diversity.
Yes, thank you for volunteering and for all that you've done for the town so far. All the things that you've mentioned have really had impact on our community. And I value that highly, just the involvement, and you're very knowledgeable of what's going on in the town. And so I think that's really
I
important.
love Highland Beach, 2 miles of paradise. Let's keep it that way, guys.
Great.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much. If we could have a motion, please.
I move we approve resolution number 2024-013.
Second?
I'll second that.
Do we want a roll call or do you?
Roll call.
Roll call.
See if I
Okay.
can do this.
Okay.
Commissioner David,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stern,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Peters.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Congratulations.
Hey, Maggie.
Thank you. Moving on to item 5B, I'll call Chief Hartman to the podium, please.
Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon. Thank you for this proclamation before you today to recognize the work and the efforts of the town manager, who really is that one person that was integral to the successful creation of the Highland Beach Fire Rescue Department. For those of us, the staff, the department heads that saw firsthand all the work, the time and effort that it took the town manager into this project of leading and managing every aspect of it, from conception to completion was quite a bit. The hurdles the challenges, some of the roadblocks that he had to deal with, all of the funding, managing a construction project that came in on time, under budget, procurement of all of the assets, vehicles, certainly in the selection process, hiring and selecting personnel, and certainly the right personnel, how important that was for this project and creating that fire department that we all knew we could have and should have, and one that we're excited to be a public safety partner with now for the town. I know, Mayor, that you publicly thanked and acknowledged the town manager at the ceremony, but I think this proclamation is so important for our residents to know that all of us understand and appreciate and value the contribution that the town manager made to get this project to where it is. And certainly this proclamation puts forth that for us, for what we say for the town. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chief Hartman. And I'm going to give everyone on the dais an opportunity to say something. So I'll start with Commissioner Goldberg. If there's anything you'd like to say.
Well, Marshall, I think that from all aspects of working with the commission and every member of our team here, as well as the public, your service has been outstanding, just outstanding. And it's also in the way you are. It's not just the work that you do, and you do both so very well. I thank you. I thank you for myself personally, on behalf of the commission and the community. We're very, very proud.
Yeah, I'd just like to say a few words. I think Marshall bleeds Highland Beach. I don't know what color the blood would be. Maybe the light blue, I think, or the yellow. He wakes up, he's thinking about, he keeps us, he runs the town, and what a great job he does. All this time he had to do the fire department, with the chief just said they're handling that. We're one big family here, and we all are cohesive, and we all get along, and he's a part of that. And thank you, Marshall. You're part of our family.
I've worked with Marshall for almost 6 years now, shortly after he came aboard, which was, to be fair, the only good thing the board before me did. Just off the cuff. But there are, as far as I'm concerned, there aren't enough accolades to thank him for what he does for this town. He truly makes working here a pleasure, and he keeps tight rein on everyone. And I am beyond grateful for all that he does. So thank you.
Great job. Nobody can go to you and say it can't be done, it couldn't be done. You did it in outstanding fashion, and I thank you on behalf of them. Thank you.
Yeah, Marshall, it's really an incredible accomplishment, what you did. I just remember starting out with the study that we had, just from the very beginnings of this all, and all that it took, all the groundwork, before even, all of the stuff that we see, the construction of the building, the hiring of the people. There was so much that was done prior to all that, getting all the licensing that we needed, just laying all the groundwork. It's just so impressive. The skill that required, such a long project, and really just is so impressive for a town of our size to do something like this that hasn't been done for 30 years in this county. So yes, from my family, from the community, thank you very much. We very much appreciate you, and you know, we are just so grateful for all that you do for us. And this fire rescue is you know, something very visible and tangible that is proof of your accomplishment. So, and I know you didn't do it alone, but you have a excellent ability to appoint the right people in the right places and retain them. I think that's another, you know, it's one thing, you know, to hire them, hire good people and put them in good positions and leveraging their strengths, but then also to retain them is also another reflects, you know, the skill that you have. So thank you very much. And so I'm going to read the entire proclamation because, you know, it's just such a wonderful thing. So I'd like to read this proclamation recognizing and commending Town Manager Marshall Labadie. Whereas the members of the town of Highland Beach gather today to commemorate the significant milestone of the implementation of the town's first fire rescue department. And whereas in 2021, the Town Commission authorized a comprehensive study of fire rescue services for the town and determine the feasibility of creating its own fire rescue department. And whereas a referendum was passed with the town residents voting overwhelmingly, over 90%, to start their own fire rescue department. And whereas the town manager, Marshall Labadie, was charged with the responsibility of all aspects of creating a fire rescue department for the town, which involved the decision-making for research and development of costs, securing funds, identifying fire rescue service requirements and expectations, seeking out and obtaining county and state certifications and requirements, selecting a fire chief and command staff personnel, navigating mutual aid obligations, and building a firehouse, and all under budget, which is another outstanding result. Whereas in April of 2024, the new Highland Beach Firehouse was built and finished on schedule and under budget. And whereas on May 1st, 2024, Highland Beach Fire Rescue started providing fire rescue services to the town residents. And whereas the town of Highland Beach, Florida recognizes the exceptional work of the town manager, Marshall Labadie, whose leadership, perseverance, oversight, and management were responsible for the successful creation of our Highland Beach Fire Rescue Department. Now I therefore, Natasha Moore, Mayor of the town of Highland Beach, Florida, and along with all my commissioners, my esteemed commissioners and vice mayor, on behalf of the town commission, I do hereby recognize Marshall Labadie for his tenacity and unwavering commitment to the town of Highland Beach community. I think that's it. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Means a lot to me. I love this place and I appreciate that my work would drive you enough to want to do this and pass this proclamation. So thank you again. I do bleed Highland Beach. I love this place. Worked a lot in my career. That there's no better place than right here with the team I've assembled, those that stayed on board when I got here, the new ones that have come aboard. Thank you to our residents. Thank you, commission. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Congratulations. Okay, excellent. I know, right? Moving on to public comments. And just as a reminder, public comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you could please state your name and where you live. Thank you.
Sure. Good afternoon, Town of Highland Beach Public Servants. My name's Mickey Isaacson. I am a Palm Beach County resident and live in Boynton. I, like many others, believe the 2020 election was stolen. I've been observing our local elections at the supervisor of elections for the last 2 years. This is not about Democrats or Republicans or any party affiliation. This is about stealing elections. You shouldn't have given your power away this year to Wendy Link, the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. It leaves your ballots vulnerable. Have you ever hosted a workshop on election integrity with your residents? Do you know that the SOE Wendy Link's tabulation center was moved from Riviera Beach to West Palm Beach in the middle of a presidential election year? And she refuses We the People a tour when we have made numerous requests. Highland Beach had their own canvassing board at the supervisor of elections in 2023 municipalities. Did Wendy Link help you with training and statutes you needed to follow? A canvassing board member needed to be present when votes were duplicated. Was at least one of your canvassing board members or Ms. Link present at all times during the municipal 2023 election duplications? Did Wendy supply you with proper training? Statute 102.166, the duplication of ballots must happen in the presence of at least one canvassing board member. While Wendy Link says she is not scheduling tours at the new tabulation center, I would urge your city council leadership and residents to insist on a tour so that you can see how the vote by mail ballots are tabulated without ID. In the past, our counties, cities, and towns have had clear path to fair and honest elections through their municipalities. In the past, people were elected, not selected. That's one letter off. Today's cities and counties are tapping the officials into place while holding a token election and tapping the rest of the officials, hence they're selecting. In the past, city clerks had to certify their own voter rolls and certify the election results and secure the results in their own municipalities. That is a very different process than municipalities have today. Today, all elections are put through a centralized tabulation center and verified by the supervisor of elections. Do you know our SOE was appointed, tapped in by our governor, then she changed her party affiliation before running in the following election. She has a $22 million budget and is asking for another $14 million additional to fund a new tabulation center. These tabulation centers are where uncertified machines are used and connected to the internet and are subject to corruption and are hackable. That's all over the news. The SOE employs temporary staff who have not taken an oath to the Constitution, and yet they touch and count our ballots and votes. The SOE is certifying our elections with dirty voter rolls, no chain of custody for her ballots, and allows the U.S. Postal Service to tamper with the U.S. mail, which is a federal offense, by using postal bins to transport the ballots. And I say her ballots because she doesn't let the public in to view all her tabulations. We the people are awake and we are watching. We are watching all 39 municipalities in Palm Beach County and the illegal organizations and agencies that all the municipalities pay into. The Palm Beach Charter, the Florida League of Cities, the National League of Cities, and the Ethics and Commissions. Everybody pays into all of those organizations. The Florida League of Cities lost 33 people who were once members. Do you know why these people are stepping down? Could it be those members are realizing that we the people are awake and these are corrupt organizations? All of these agencies are illegal. They are tied to the crown. That is a one-party rule from the top down to the states. The U.S. Constitution chooses officials in elections and does not select them. That is not what is happening in our country today. Our state legislators are getting away with changing the 1838 Organic Florida State Constitution in 1969 to enforce maritime laws on the people. Your city council should do the right thing and hold fair elections in your city. Count your own votes on paper ballots in your local precincts and certify your own elections. There is no reason to outsource elections. A typical precinct accommodates 1,500 to 2,000 people per precinct and can easily count the paper ballots and hand certify them without machines. The U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights are all the rules that we, the people, need for government. Our current government is 90% too large. I urge you to reach out to any one of the grassroots people speaking here today, myself and a fellow.
Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments? State your name and where you live.
Greetings, public servants. My name is Candace Rojas and I reside in Boynton Beach, Florida. At quick glance, Highland Beach appears to be a lovely and luxurious community. I believe there are good leaders here who have not committed treason. But regardless, I must speak boldly to intercede for those without a voice to defend the Constitution and restore the Republic. Whenever any government becomes destructive, it is the duty of the people to abolish it. I am here to put you on notice as a sovereign American and request your oaths and bonds, which is a pre-step to activate our military. I believe the military is the only way because the entire political system is broken. Our elections are not secure. Our leaders at the local level have ignored evidence of election vulnerability here in this county. Foxes are guarding the henhouse. The Constitution states that all of the power, not some of the power, belongs to we the people, not the employees, which are each of you. It also states that fraud vitiates everything, ab initio. If you have not already heard, there's a systematic destruction of the old guard, a paradigm shift that's taking place across our nation. Be prepared for 1776 global peace and prosperity happening very soon. No more generational political nepotism. No more secret societies controlling the masses. No more appointed board members via the tap of the secret society handshake. The fake facade of power and control from fake leaders is over. Did you know that the Palm Beach County is an illegal foreign corporation called the Palm Beach County Charter, and Highland Beach is part of that charter? Applying the Home Rule Charter is an attempt to shield yourself from liability and pass rules that would not need you to need the state legislator. Why did you create a fire rescue department in a 3-mile town? How many fires do you have here? Does this seem to be a wise spend of the taxpayers' money? Also, Highland Beach is a member of League of Cities, which is a complete conflict of interest as it is a global organization. You use taxpayer dollars to pay dues to the League of Cities and other organizations that are globalist with connections to the United Nations and World Economic Forum, criminal cartel whose primary mission is population control. This tells me that you all need retrained. Highland Beach is not following the Constitution or common law. You are using maritime law. You're using fake statutes to penalize the people when statutes are used to control the elected officials. You charge illegal taxes, fines, citations, traffic tickets, and fees. You use restrictive boards and code enforcement to keep your constituents in compliance. That is not your job. During the March 2020 COVID pandemic, scandemic, some of you may have even committed a crime against humanity by locking down people, closing down your space, closing down businesses, and promoting death vaccines and restricting those who oppose such vaccines. We have not forgotten the tyranny and treason that was committed in 2020. We, the American sovereign, do not trust the current election process, and we believe the 2020 election was stolen. We need you to take back your power from Wendy Link, Supervisor of Elections, by holding your own elections here at the local precinct, hand counting your own ballots, cleaning your own voter rolls, and certifying your own elections here. True leaders must demand paper ballots with a valid ID, one-day voting, not early or mail-in votes, which are prone to cheating, hand counting votes at precinct level of approximately 1,500 voters per precinct, removing the digital voting machines or just use them as a backup, report results from the precincts, do not move your physical ballots after they are counted and keep them as proof, and provide overseas military, the handicapped, and the elderly a secure way to vote. I recommend that you pray to God, resign, or expect to be duly, peacefully, and rightfully removed from our military. Be on the right side of history. Government employees who did not commit treason may be called back based upon need. Common law grand juries are coming. Thank you. These are your letters.
Any other public comments?
I am a resident of Highland Beach, unlike the two guest speakers before me. We have a strategic priority plan, and I want to address SP 17, the temporary sign ordinances. I sent you all an email comparing our city to Palm Beach, Coral Gables, similar towns as ours, or even Delray, could be Gulfstream. And I think that we have visual pollution on our streets, especially the side streets. I live on Bel Air Drive, and I sent you all pictures of just one random week. And there they were. There was like 5 or 6 of them, and they're huge. And sometimes they don't move. We've complained about it. So I'm hoping that using your strategic SP 17 temporary sign ordinance review, we might consider making the signs smaller so they don't overwhelm the beauty of our town and our nice, wonderful community. And we do follow all of the laws of the United States.
Any other public comments? Okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Maybe could we just make a note of that the next time we talk about strategic plan, what goes on the
Yep, so the
with
sign ordinance is on there, so when we
It is
come
already
back
on
to
there.
it, I'll
Okay.
I'll remind us if we want to
Yeah.
bid up the priority skip,
Okay.
but it's on the priority list.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, great. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. Yeah. We do no ordinances today. Moving on to consent agenda. Any discussion on the consent agenda? No, no,
Fine.
okay. Okay, if
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second that.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to item 9, unfinished business. We have our final fire rescue implementation update. Wow.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, this is the last one,
Ooh.
which is a good thing. That means we're done, right? We're up and running as of April 30th at 7:30 a.m. We began operating at the fire department. We've ran about 39 calls so far. That's averaging about 1.8 calls per day, which is what we anticipated, around 2 calls per shift. Of those, 23 were medical incidents, and we transported 12. So it's about half of our EMS calls we transport. And fire alarms, we had about 16 of those, for a total of 39. So everything's operating. We're still configuring software and platforms internally. Because when you buy a software package, you basically a blank slate and you have to kind of configure it yourself. So we're doing all this stuff. Building surveys, the next step is to configuring our public facing part of that, the community outreach, and that's probably going to be done hopefully in the next 30 to 60 days. We'll have a portal so you can actually add information and be able to communicate with us directly. Construction wise, we're about ready for Kaufman is anticipating closeout at the end of this week. We have a few outstanding items that we're looking at, but for the most part, all the documents are being prepared right now for a closeout either Thursday or Friday. So we'll have all the documents and everything's done. Final payments made and reimbursements sent. Any questions?
Hooray.
I know, fantastic news.
Last time, isn't it?
Fantastic news.
The hooray part. The hooray part is we did it.
Yes.
And we all did it.
Yeah,
Right.
all
And
together,
no, you're welcome to come back and give us updates anytime.
only when requested.
I have a question. How did it work out with the budget?
The budget, we're actually working, we're drafting the budget right now for next year. Are you talking about the current budget?
Well, how did we do on the building?
The
As
building
far as what was
for
projected.
just under $500,000 in the positive. So it's like
489.
49, just under 500, $500,000. And then so everything is done. When that's done, we'll get a check returned to us for that amount. I think, yeah, it's about that amount, right?
Mhm.
Just about. So we're under budget. We're on time with the construction. Again, we got the TCO on time, all the construction. The other punch list stuff is just that, just things that we missed or somebody missed and we gotta punch list it out. And so those things are just about done. There's only one significant thing was the front railing. We got to put a ADA railing in the front. That was, so that's being designed and fabricated right now. We should have that done by the end of the week before closeout. And some of the minor stuff, that's of no consequence,
Well, the building just looks glorious.
especially at night,
Yes, yes.
especially at night. If you haven't seen it at
Wonderful.
night, you should drive
Yeah.
by at
Yeah,
night. It
looks
looks
nice.
really good with the yellow lights
Yeah, I love the sea turtle lights.
and the red lights behind.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
the lettering comes out really
Absolutely.
nicely.
Yes. Yes,
That's
Okay.
great.
yes. Congratulations.
Yes,
Yeah,
You
this
should
is
go over and see. You have another
excellent.
question.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, then, as far as the money, I would imagine you didn't start on the budget, and I would anticipate asking you in looking forward to the first budget
Yes.
of the new firehouse, where do you think it's going to be as compared to what we projected?
I like let Marshall take that one.
Yeah.
We have the numbers in to him already, so
Okay,
he
all
has.
right.
So it should be, we're holding to our projections. We're working, David, and Glenn are working on the fine details with all the personnel, the pay structure that we put in place, getting that, set up. So everything is where we think it is. We're still tracking slightly less than 6 years for complete. Probably be down to 5 years now that we're $500,000 under on construction. So we did make up some time on our cost benefit analysis to recover all investment costs. So we're doing well there. So we're going to be tracking where we thought less than Delray. Based on our projections, that's a pretty significant figure, like a 7-figure, like $1 million bucks, a little over $1 million, $1.2 million, something like that. Less than what we're projecting. So everything's working out. Everything's right on
Okay.
point. How many calls have we gotten? Did you say that? 39.
39.
So, we're responding, we're there.
And we definitely feel their presence. I mean, you see them, like I've never seen our firefighters before. You see them walking around and at buildings and being part of the community. So
It's a community service,
definitely
regardless
is.
of what was said earlier. It is a community service desired and embraced by the community with its willingness to pay for this service.
I think it's terrific that they come through the buildings with an iPad and they mark where everything is. So if they're called for an emergency, they know where to go. To me, that's incredible.
So that was one of the plans we talked about earlier on, like about a year ago, but we wanted a community-based response team that actually knows the community and are actually visible. You'll not see the truck running a call in Delray unless they have a major emergency that we're assisting. They're gonna
Correct.
stay here. They have the bay doors open, and if you knock on the door, there's gonna be somebody to answer either from upstairs or downstairs. If you're on the call, you'll know it because the trucks are not gonna be there. You can see through that. But until that, we have a small team, 7 people on shift, which means that we have to get there quickly. We got to get there and be aggressive in the way we address any emergency involving fire, combustibles, et cetera, and so on. So knowing that ahead of time is absolutely critical to our operation. So we have to be there. We have to know it. We can't be just trying to decide which elevator to go up on. We can't decide which stairwell is the best stairwell. We have to know all that stuff ahead of time. So we have a small community, which means that we could probably learn all that stuff from memory and have it backed up for electronic use. We're working on our connectivity. I mean, there's some issues that we're still working through, but for the most part, we have a plan and the plan is being executed as we designed it.
I know, especially where I am, people don't often know where the townhouses are that are located behind the parking structure. And now they do.
They do. You have a team that's yours. You could direct them and you could give them goals, objectives, give them missions, tell them we want that accomplished. And then you can make that happen because you don't have to go through a hierarchy of bureaucracy to get to the person who's actually responding to your home. There's only one stop, Marshall or myself.
And then with the old station, Pat and his team, they secured it. We're getting it cleaned, left in a little bit of a rough shape, but at least we're going to clean it up to keep it while we go through this process. We keep it clean, secure, and whatnot. So we're moving through that process. With PGAL, we kind of added that to their contract to do some space planning and design related to the old fire station. So we should have those very shortly for you guys to take a look at and how we want to tackle that next project. And now it looks like we've, as the documents I signed, excuse me, we have about $500,000 to address that project. So that gives us a good running start on fixing the old station, demo, conversion, and over to that community space.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
that if we have food truck event, at least we have someplace where they can go where it's covered.
Yeah, that's what we'd like to do is have that flex space, if you will, so we can have some shade and then to have some BAFs, which are big fans. If you do look up there, that's what it says, but I won't say it on record, but put some fans in there so we have some cooler space when we do have those earlier in the season. And it's a little bit warm, at least we can get residents in and out. And the idea is to have some restrooms, have a little kitchen service area, something that you would see where you could, serve things through, put a refrigerator or something like that
Sure.
to help with community events. So I think the space will look great with your final touches. So we'll be getting that draft, a partially designed palette, or so you guys can put the final touches on it. So,
Will we have that for Mingle Jingle?
oh yeah, but we might probably move it over to the church because it's so popular. Or we could do a multiple stop event, where we can open the community up and do something that way, and then Chief can block off A1A. That'll be fun. No, okay. But yeah, we should have it open again. Our 75th anniversary. So folks out there start thinking about ideas
Mhm.
For our 75th anniversary, which we'll hope to have to address here this summer. So for a fall event. So whatever you guys want to do, we'll start putting some ideas together and go from there.
Doesn't he look more rested now that the fire station's over?
I do great. Sleeping well.
That's great.
Anything else?
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Oh, any public comments? Go ahead. Thank you.
Rick Greenwald, Tranquility Drive. Obviously, congratulations to everybody who is involved with the fire department. It's all extremely exciting and well-deserved congratulations for the people who put in all the work. However, it's not over. And for all of you who have been involved in birthing projects in the past, you know that the hard work now is really just beginning. And for those of us who were involved since the beginning, there were a fair number of promises made in terms of value-added services, community services, quality of services. And I'm separating out the financial side now, which I think we have pretty good controls over, and with the finance department and with financial advisory board and the budgets and everything, people are going to be looking at that component. We have mechanisms in place. So the rest of my time now, I wanted really to talk about what are we doing to ensure, I think we have the right folks are in place, that we meet our promises in terms of quality and delivery of services. And for that, in my experience, what you really need, even though it's sort of a pain in the butt, but what you need is you need well-defined objectives, goals, and you need plans, and you need metrics. And then you need performance improvement plans. And what the metrics that we should be looking at should be, you need subject matter experts. We have those. So I'm not qualified to comment on whether we should be looking specifically at response times or certain segments of response times, or how many first aid classes we put on, or how many AEDs we make sure are distributed, or whatever it is. But the chief knows these things. Matt Wellhalf knows these things. And Terry Cohn knows this stuff. And we should be sure that we have appropriate metrics in place so that we know, because again, from my experience, it's not good enough in the long run to say, oh yeah, no worries, great job, everything's terrific, all this kind of thing. We really should get set up. We really should have metrics. We really should have objectives. We may have them already. I wouldn't be surprised with the chief's experience. I don't know what they are. They're not on the website or anything. But that's what we should be looking at. And increasingly with our local government, we should be doing that really within every department so that we really have a dashboard. How are we doing on all these things? What are we looking at? How do we continue to get better and make the town the best that it can be? But again, I congratulate everybody on the great success to date with the fire rescue department. I think it's phenomenally exciting. So thank you all.
So I don't know if you have any comments, because I think you do have some
So
metrics on response times
some of the stuff
and,
too that
yeah.
we can discuss. If you
Right.
hadn't had an opportunity to go to our website and our budget, David put an interactive budget. We got away from the budget book. Remember that old thing you put on the end of your table and got dust on it, maybe some coffee stains. So now we have this metric, so you can go in and adjust and look for the measurements you want department by department, town-wide, over time. So that's something we can build on too, to then start adding in, department performance measurements, which we do keep track of. I would agree that are not clearly reported back out, but we do look at all this stuff. I see the water team, water plant operator behind you, superintendent. He does all that too, water loss, how much we produce, chemical use. I mean, we do look at all of those things. We just now probably need to transform that into that interactive setting that you see with your budget too.
So one of the things we did by buying a package platform, everything was included. Remember, we talked about that earlier. We didn't want different vendors that didn't want to talk to one another. That will allow us to do exactly this. It's just to, on a monthly, quarterly basis, or however you prefer, is to provide you statistics on what was done and what the benchmarks for the county are. And so we're working through building all those out right now. And so when we get all the data inputted, then we're tracking them right now. That's why I was able to get you the numbers of calls that you ran, how many you transported, and all that stuff. But we got to decide what we want to present to you as a body, what we want to present to the public, and how we're going to present it, whether it's going to be on the website. But the data is already being collected. It's already being established. The benchmarks are already essentially made up, except for what you want us to track or monitor. So the hardest part of all this is collecting the data. We have it. It's just a matter of deciding how you want it presented, who gets the information, and how often you want it done on a whatever metric you'd like to put. And that is why we had this one big package, which is kind of unwieldy because you got to build each individual module of it. But we're going through that process right now to be able to make that happen. So when we have a meeting again, or we'll get with the manager, whatever you want to see tracked, let me know. We'll put it into a dashboard or a physical document that is provided on a monthly, quarterly basis, whatever you prefer, annual.
Or maybe if you don't mind putting a draft together, because I don't even know that, like what maybe from your experience at Boca or Boynton, what would typically be tracked, and then we could, at least it'd be a starting point for us.
Yeah, typically in Boca Raton, that was one of my jobs as a deputy fire chief, was to put that document together. We did a monthly report. We broke the city into different zones, and we could track each call by zone, and we track what our response times were to those different areas. So how long did it take us to get there from the inception of the call until we arrived at the scene? Then we decided, what each of those, what type of calls were in those areas. So if we have a lot of falls in a particular building, then we want to target that for public education. If there are a lot of fire alarms, then we'd send the fire marshal to figure out what's going on with those alarms, and maybe we could fix them or upgrade whatever needs doing. So it was done on a monthly basis, and at the end of the year, we did a cumulative for the entire year, and year to year, we kept a cumulative from year to year. So I could track from 2004 to 2006, did go up, down, et cetera, and so on. So that's all things that are done, that are collected. We could put together a draft document for you, probably by next meeting, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then you could actually add to it or take away, and then we'll make that a running tally.
That'd be a good starting point for us. And then, like you said, it might highlight what community needs are for classes or focus areas.
We've done, since this year, we've done about almost 100 CPR classes.
Wow.
Toscana, we did 30. There was another building that we did another 70 plus classes, and we provided equipment, and in some cases provided instructor. So we're always reaching out if you need. I met with the homeowners presidents of the Homeowners Association last month, towards the end of April. Met all of them, introduced myself, and said, these are the services we provide. If you need any CPR classes, fire prevention, fire safety, let us know. We have some classes. At the next meeting, we'll talk a bit about hurricanes. Like, we have hurricane seasons coming up. And the El Nino versus La Nino, El Nino versus La Nina, and how that may affect our vulnerability. We're anticipating more Atlantic storms this year, which means that we're probably more affected. And it's already hot, which means what drives storms. So we expect our storms may be a little more frequent, a little more intense. So we need to talk about planning and how we're going to address it to the residents. So a lot of moving parts.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for the comment. Any other public comments? No. Okay, moving on to resolution number 2024-008. A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Highland Beach, Florida, dedicating the Highland Beach Fire Rescue Department Station number 120 in honor of former Mayor Douglas Hillman and providing for an effective date. I imagine you'll present this.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it in my packet. That's 9, okay.
Page
hold on.
82.
There it is. So again, we just tweaked it because it sounded like we wanted section 1 of the therefore be it resolved section. So now it's the Town of Highland Beach Fire Station 120 named in honor of former Mayor Hillman for his service from March 2020 through March 2023 will be permanently memorialized within the station. And then we talk about the Brown statue. So we basically went from dedication to naming in honor, a little bit stronger, or in the direction. I don't know if stronger is the right word, in the direction that was provided. So we kind of moved into that direction. So if you want to see it tweaked a little bit more, just let me know. Otherwise, we are good with this resolution. What accompanies this is that section 2 statement. I did send you guys kind of the sample of the plaque, got everyone's feedback, and that's in production now. And we're hoping maybe as one of the events for the 75th anniversary, maybe there's a sequence of events that we kind of, that could be an unveiling event, where we do that into the lobby space.
Any comments on the resolution?
Yes, I think that it was, it's well written, goes to the point. I think it's how you symbol, I'm looking for the symbol of safety and unity, the plaque. You said a permanent bronze memorial plaque. Have you thought with, it doesn't talk about size or anything. What are you?
So that's the, it's the
Contemplate.
16 by 24. I'm pretty sure I emailed you guys, but it's email plaque, it's bronze, it's got the slightly raised letters. It has a statement to mirroring these statements on it. There'll be what they call a relief statue on the bottom of it. So his face kind of sounds kind of creepy, comes out of it, but it's like a 3-dimensional bronze facial representation on the bottom of the plaque.
Just a short portrait? rather
Yeah, it's
than
kind of, they
body?
base it on a portrait, but it kind of takes the picture and puts it into a bronze. So the
Mhm.
sculptor's working with it now, and then it comes out and goes on there, and then we'll hang it, and then we put get a copy of this resolution in a frame. We have a series of pictures and areas, so maybe we can jazz up that area from the grand opening to the event party, like put a little more of a history of
Right.
photo history of everything. So kind of where, and then pictures of the building being constructed over time and how we've raised it and everything. So
Commissioner Peters, anything?
No, I think
Get
it's
it?
deserving
Yeah.
and I think it's well
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
Looks good to me.
yeah.
Good to me.
Yeah, I liked the plaque that you sent around. I thought that was appropriate, and I liked the wording that you had, and I liked his 3D face and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. I think that'll be nice. And yes, and I like the wording here too. I think that does what we want it to say. So
Where will it be placed?
in the lobby. So when you go in through the front door, you'll see like there's a area for like a TV cable. There's like a couple of wall spaces, but in there, probably when you open the door to have that with some pictures around it, and then kind of other, again, photo documentation of the process.
Sounds good.
Okay, if we are all in agreement, if we could have a motion, please.
I move we approve resolution number 2024-008.
Seconded.
Do you need a roll call?
Yeah, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner David,
Yes.
Commissioner Goldberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Peters,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stern.
Yes,
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Moving on to new business, approve and authorize town staff to proceed with a purchase order for the rehabilitation and media replacement for 2 scrubbers and 1 degasifier
You skipped.
at water treatment plant in accordance with the town standard procurement. Hello.
All right, David.
I am David Richards, the water plant superintendent.
Wow.
And I have been here for 10 years at Highland.
Oh.
So we have a degasifier scrubber system. So after the membranes take everything physical out of the water, the scrubber system takes the gases out. That's the only thing the membranes can't do. And there's this media inside these balls. And now, as you can see, you're supposed to be able to see through this. So they have built up a little, and they're supposed to be lighter and heavier. And you can see it's hard as a rock, it doesn't come off on the hand. So they are working, but not as efficient as they once were, in 2024. I mean, 2004. So they're, one has been replaced, but the rest are about 18 years old. So we put it in the budget, so it's already been placed in the budget. Now we just need it approved. And so real quick, how it works is that we lower the pH and then the gas comes out of the water. And then it gets trapped up in the air with the balls and the water is circulating in there. And then goes to the scrubber system and then we raise the pH high and it brings it back into the water and then we put it to waste. So that's as simple as I can make that process. And so we just need new media basically inside. The structure, everything else is good. And we found the original installer that is willing to do all three scrubber tower media. So that is it. If you have any questions or.
Based on what that looks like, it obviously is that they're working. So therefore we
They're working.
need new ones.
Yeah, they did their job.
And it's already, like you said, it's already been budgeted for and
Yeah.
planned for and all that.
Yep.
Any other questions?
How long will that take?
They said about a week, so 1 to
Mhm.
2 weeks, depending on how hard it is for them to get the old ones out.
I don't think there's any other option here.
No.
So we want to have good water.
Yeah. No, I move that we approve the procurement for rehabilitation and media replacement for 2 scrubbers and 1 degasifier at the water treatment plant.
Seconded.
Do you want a roll call or can we?
We can do a voice vote. I think it's fine.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you very much. Moving on to town commission comments, Commissioner Goldberg.
Well, just reflecting on what we've done today in the fire department, the police, living in Highland Beach is such a joy. I mean, it's a beautiful place. Our homes are lovely. But what is taking part now with all the restoration, everyone painting, everyone beautifying and anticipating the road coming in? But I saw today sitting and having my coffee, watching the boats in the water, how beautiful it is. I saw a troop of fire from the fire department. I wasn't sure, is that the police or fire? But there had to be a half a dozen just walking there, right? And I'm not in a gated community, but there is such a feeling of safety here and of integrity and integration between the town and the residents that I have not experienced wherever I've lived in bigger urban areas and rural areas. This is such a special place. And the things that have been in place here, having all the services that we have, and the performance is really outstanding. We're going through in my community a lot of restoration. It's old buildings, so we need a lot of work. And there's been a lot of conversation with fire marshal and fire department, and great pressure, financial pressure put upon our community. But I personally appreciated, not the finances, not the outlay, but that I know that I'm going to be safe. And for my community, I'm on the board as well. And it's really a joy to be here. There's no, guessing at what would happen if. I know that if it's older to 55 and over, what kind of response we're going to have in the community. I know that fire and police are right there, and it's greatly, greatly appreciated. So I just wanted to verbalize that, and I thank you again, and it's a great place to live.
Yeah,
Thank you, Commission.
I agree with Judy there. It's nice. I saw some of the firemen. I don't know, like you said, if they're walking or just running, they're all sweating. Maybe we should have a contest between the police and the who's in better shape. But I stopped. The doors are open. The firehouse, and every time I pass by, you stop. Everybody is nice. It seems like you picked the best personnel for us. Response time, the building, they were right there. It was amazing to see them in action and everything in there. And I'm just glad that Highland Beach did it. And it's a great place to live in here with the fire department and the police department. They do a great job and we all feel safer. Thank you.
Well, I agree with both of them. And I agree that this is a very safe place to live. We live in a tumultuous times in our world where there are a lot of places that are not safe to live. And I never have an issue going to my car at night or coming home at night. I just don't worry about it. I mean, you have to be foolish not to watch what's going on around you. And I get that. But overall, I feel safer here than I have anyplace else. And I've lived in nice places. So, but this is a wonderful town to live in. We are special, in a good way special. And we have everything we need here without a bunch of things that we don't need. And that's thanks to all the people who work for this town, because you make it a safe, enjoyable place to live. So I thank you all.
I would agree. I have one concern, and I know it's being worked on. I know Matt is working on it, and that's the whole issue of batteries, trickle chargers, bicycle batteries, the safety and that aspect of it, and having some uniform guidelines for the different units and buildings to look at before they spend money on the wrong things, on how to handle them, what's really safety. I know the bikes are a different issue than the cars. I know that in our condo, we've taken some proactive measures relative to things like trickle charges to make sure that the maintenance person pulls the plug on them every couple of days and that type of thing. So we're looking for the town, in my opinion, to have some uniform guidelines to make sure proactive that we're not in for a problem.
Vice Mayor, you're absolutely correct. We were just talking about that this morning. The NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, it's the standard body in the fire protection industry, is just coming out with some new guidelines. So here's just the one major thing that we don't want the associations to do is put charging stations for electric cars in an underground parking or anywhere that's under a structure where people reside. We don't want it under any kind of structure. And the reason why is this: if for some reason the car caught on fire, which does happen, I mean, it's not very frequent, and certainly it's not a risk that we need to worry about, but certainly we need to take into consideration for the long haul. We want those charging stations in an open area and not under the building or not too close to the building, because they burn extremely hot, around 3,500 degrees. So if you have it under concrete parking structure, it will actually undermine the structural integrity of that construction, and you'll have to replace it. That's the one thing we don't want to happen. The next thing is that the state fire marshal's office and the state of Florida is actually right now promulgating some rules. I didn't want to jump the gun and give you some onerous restriction on where you can put it, or make too liberal and you put it somewhere and they say, well, you can't have it there. Now you got to invest money to replace it or remove it. So we're kind of treading water right now. There's only one absolute thing we don't want to happen is under a covered structure. But other than that, we're waiting to see where the rules-making bodies are going, because we really don't want to tell you something that's too liberal that you have to change, or too conservative where we could have made it easier for you and less expensive to do it a certain way. So that's where we are right now. It's been a year, I know, it's been a year and a half, but the rules making is very, very slow, methodical process to make sure that we're not onerous in our restrictions or recommendations. So that's where we are.
Rather than drawing a broad brush, there are different issues within that. The car versus the bicycle with the batteries. And one of the things that we were looking into, is on the market, secure safes, if you will, that could go outside where the battery can be removed and put and stored in the safe in a compartment.
That is
That's
correct.
one issue we're looking at.
So a couple of things with the bicycles and the little scooters. Do not charge them in the means of egress. So if you have an exit to your home or your apartment or on the stairwell, don't put them anywhere where they will actually, if they're on fire, block your exit to the egress. You don't want to use any off-brand chargers. Okay, if you bought a whatever scooter, get that same charger, and be careful when you buy things off Amazon, because sometimes they're marked one way, but they actually come from a different place. So again, chargers are a big deal. If there's damage to the battery, don't charge it, get it looked at. Again, the state fire marshal's office is coming up with rules, but the one thing that we cannot or should not do is plug them anywhere in the means of egress. Stairwells, exit doors, it's better to plug them outside. Now, if you have them outside in a locked area where they're not going to be stolen, that's the best thing. If they burn, they go away and nothing's hurt. We just just don't want that event impede your ability to exit or escape if that occurs. So that is the only recommendation we have right now. As these rules are propagated, we're keeping an eye on them. We're keeping an eye on the literature and the journals. And as soon as we have something concrete, preferably from the state fire marshal's office, because that's going to give it the rule of law, we'll propagate that to the communities and make sure that they're in the right place.
I know in my building, we don't want people to bring those bikes upstairs.
You should not.
That
Don't put them on the elevator.
don't bring them on the air, don't put them in your units,
Because
just,
There's been instances of
not.
them catching fire in the elevator, and whoever's in there is going to heaven. Or so you don't want them in an elevator. So they need to be, to your point, they need to be outside, parked in an enclosed area that's protected, so they're not stolen. Certainly not in your exits or in your elevators.
can we recommend that any building or community that wants to put them in after they've done their research to contact the fire department to
Will.
make sure that they're putting it in an appropriate location and that the electrical voltage and everything is accurate?
Absolutely. We'd rather you talk to us before you actually spend any money when you're in the design phase. We'll give some recommendations. But right now, we don't have the rule of law to stand behind. And I hate to make the recommendations too restrictive or too liberal, and then we have to make changes. So we're in the process, but we're actively looking at it, and we're actively looking at the literature that's being
Thank you.
produced right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No comments from me. Town Attorney?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Can you take one and pass it down, Marshall? So this is that legislative update I've been promising you. Legitimate or not, it's this is what the Florida legislature has come up with during the last session. It's a lot of don'ts or can'ts, but that's sort of been the theme the last couple of years. The first one is if the town was thinking about authorizing public camping or sleeping, can't do it. So just in case you had that in your head. On the second page, there's this Resiliency and Safe Structures Act, which limits the ability of municipalities to deny demolition permits for historical structures or those, this is one of those bills that came out of a specific situation where they want to demolish an historical structure. It limits the ability, it has to be for a valid public safety reason to deny someone a demolition permit for a historical building. You can't regulate vehicles for hire if they've been issued a permit by another county municipality. You can't regulate food delivery platforms in case you wanted to. You can't issue identification documents. Some cities, West Palm Beach did this, where people who didn't have access to a driver's license, mostly immigrants, et cetera, they would issue these community IDs and they would be able to use them for various services. The legislature said you can't do that anymore. One fun thing, because we have a fire rescue department, is the chief can put blue lights in the back of his vehicle now, which is kind of a fun fact. The one on page 2, local government actions. You've seen them before, these business impact estimates you have to do for ordinances. And it used to be if it had to do with a comprehensive plan or a zoning ordinance, you didn't have to do one, but now we do. Another requirement from our friends up in Tallahassee. Employment regulations, we can't do our own regulations for heat exposure for employees. I don't know why we would. Let me see something else that might be relevant. On page 3, building regulations, the legislature has imposed all these timing requirements on the issuance of permits, depending on the size and type of the structure. Thankfully, it doesn't go into effect until January 1, 2025. So it'll give Jeff a chance to get things in order, but they become very strict about how much time you have to issue the permit, provide your comments, those types of things. Also on page 5, the Live Local Act doesn't much affect Highland Beach because you only really have one commercial property. Other cities just wring their hands over this thing, but really, I don't think it's going to be an issue here. They made it a little better than it was before. And what that is, in case you don't know, if you have industrial commercial property, somebody can come in and put in residential affordable housing and use the highest height that you have within a mile and the highest density. There was a lot of interpretation issues with that. And they've clarified that that doesn't apply to height, that you've received a density bonus through the PUD process or special exception process or something like that. And they also curbed the height a little bit if it's surrounded on 2 sides by single family home, made it a little better, still problematic for a lot of cities. There's going to be a constitutional amendment adjusting the homestead exemption value if the CPI goes up, then the homestead exemption will go up, which will have a financial impact if it passes. Alternate mobility funding systems. This was a war we had in Northern Palm Beach County between City of Palm Beach Gardens and Palm Beach County about charging mobility fees and the countywide concurrency. It says that if you're going to charge a mobility fee, you have to coordinate between the county and the municipality. So the mitigation efforts are coordinated and developers aren't paying twice. Another expedited approval of residential building permits doesn't apply to Highland Beach because we don't have 10,000 people. On page 9, also more timeframes. It gives you a time frame. You have to adopt if you have a comprehensive plan amendment and you receive comments, you only have a certain amount of time to adopt it. Vacation rentals, which does impact the town, and I believe was discussed when we had Senator Berman and Representative Gossett-Simon here. So they're not saying we can't regulate it. They're just limiting what you could regulate. They're saying you can make sure the liens are paid. You can make sure they have a contact person. And they prescribed an occupancy limit, which is interesting coming, from Tallahassee, and you still can fine if they don't comply. And we will go through the town's vacation rental ordinance to make sure that we comply by July 1st. There is a cybersecurity bill. These haven't been signed yet, assuming they will be. Every time I do this, I check to see what's been signed by the governor. There's only a few left. Cybersecurity, it's if you follow what the statute says, then you're essentially shielded from liability. And the last thing is, if you're going to have a public works project that you're going to use iron or steel, has to be manufactured in the United States. So that's basically it. You could read through it when you have some time. If you have any questions, give me a call. There's nothing too crazy in here. The most impactful will probably be the vacation rentals and the impacts on the building department with those timeframes. And that's all I have. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the update. Town manager.
Yes, as you know, the signs are up for FDOT. They haven't contacted us, kind of met with us, talked about it. So we're going to presume that they're going to still start on the north end of town in Delray, work their way out from Linton. They'll probably be doing some other type of site prep, road right of way work was also in there. But again, radio silence from FDOT. We reach out to their team and they don't respond. So I will make some calls, from our friend, Gus Seidman, and get them to reach out and give us some details because that's kind of unacceptable. That's it. But 29th, they're going to start construction. Signs are up. Here we go. Again, 75th anniversary is coming up. So we'll start doing some planning for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for the proclamation. That means a lot to me. It really does. So thank you. I appreciate that. My partners are crying in the back corner. Thank you. And that's it.
Excellent. Announcements, meeting and events, May 27th, 2024. Town Hall is closed in observance of Memorial Day. June 4th at 1:30, we have our next Town Commission meeting. June 11th at 1, we have a Code Enforcement Board regular meeting. And then June 14th at 9:30 in the morning, we have our Planning Board regular meeting. And it is 2:46. And with that, I think we can adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.